But Chris, I'm going to come back to you because I want to talk Purdue and McNeese. Now, you picked McNeese, rightfully so, to get that first round upset. This is another interesting one. Tell me are you sticking with McNeese? Because I'm going to be honest. I think there's a path for them to get to the Sweet 16. What do you think?
Listen, I'm giving Isaac Trotter all the props in the world for the way he talked about that McNeese defense. I was not a believer, but I did pick them to win that game because, again, you've got to pick some upsets here, right? They dominated Clemson. Forget the score. Don't even watch the score. Dominated Clemson. They look more athletic. They look more confident. Will Wade has nothing. Think about this. He's leaving. He's going to take whoever he wants on the team with him, and the other guys are graduating. They are playing with all their chips in the middle of the table. And I'll say this. Every kid that went on that floor for McNeese State is a transfer. Said this the other day. Guys, they're not afraid. They've all played at high-level schools or higher-level schools. You are playing a very experienced team with a coach who's been in the NCAA tournament. 7 out of 8 years, he's been in a tournament. He's been a head coach. Now, let's juxtapose this with Purdue. Matt Painter, all the respect in the world from him. But is Matt Painter not the subject of upsets all the time? Think about this. Before those 2 years, before Zach Edey last year, it was always Purdue. I would not be surprised if this happens. The Cowboys lasso them. I just wouldn't be surprised. But at the end of the day, sometimes they play a little bit undisciplined. That would be the one thing. But that defense and Braden Smith and the other guards, they are going to struggle with this team, I believe. And this is a good one to circle.
All right, Trotter, I have a very specific question. Then obviously I want to get your pick on this game. But prior to that first round matchup, you talked about McNeese and the triple switch they were doing defensively. Will Wade has been very open about how he's become more personally involved in coaching the defense at McNeese this year, talking about how earlier in his younger years as a head coach, he tended to focus more on the offense and delegate more of the defense. This year, getting more involved on that end of the floor as well. The other thing he did in this first round game is he brought out a little bit of a matchup zone. They showed zone, and then they would switch to man, but they would change the number of passes before they switched, and they did it out of the timeouts. He talked about it post-game, and what that did is it kept Clemson off balance. So you show zone, you may go man after 4 passes, you may go man after 8 passes, and so Clemson really didn't know what to run offensively. That was a surprise for them. That surprise is not available here. So does he have something left in his bag to confuse Purdue or to cause that kind of curveball, or is this just a game in which Purdue's size will make them Purdue instead of Purdon't, as Chris would say?
No, that's a great point, and you kind of took the words out of my mouth. And I think flexibility defensively is the key in this one against Purdue. You cannot play the same coverage against Braden Smith 3, 4, 5 times in a row. You have to mix it up. You have to throw different things at him. And I don't think that the recipe that they use against Clemson can work against Purdue. I don't think they can just sit in the paint and try to dare them to make threes. That's not going to work against them, especially with the spot-up shooting that Purdue has. I lean Purdue in this one, but there is an absolute path for McNeese to get there with the offensive rebounding and with their ability to just get a ton of shots at the rim and score in transition. That's been the thing against Purdue for a long, long time. If you can score in transition against Purdue, you can beat them. I think McNeese has to touch 20 transition points if they want to spring the upset and mix in all those switching defense as we've talked about. Will Wade was excellent against Clemson. He's going to have to be in his bag again against Purdue.
I couldn't agree more. I will also say this. We talk a lot about Braden Smith, and rightfully so. He may be the best point guard in the country. Trey Kaufman-Renn, I think, is the most important player in this game. Will Wade has been very transparent about the fact that his team does not necessarily match up great with teams that have tremendous size on the front line, and Trey Kaufman-Renn has been a monster all season long. If he can really dominate the paint, it would go a long way towards getting Purdue to the Sweet 16, but this is going to be a heck of a game.